Good evening. So, unfortunately, we were hit with the news of the lead singer of Linkin Park passing away. And I've been meaning to talk about this for a while now anyway. When it comes to depression and suicide, there are a lot of misconceptions out there. And I have some friends, some family, people that I know personally. Plus, when you read about these things, a lot of times you see people say that suicide is for the weak. People will say suicide is for weak-minded cowards who are selfish, right? And I don't make these videos to insult anybody. That's never my goal when I do any of these things, okay? But I don't care what you've been through in life or how horrible it is, and now you're alive because you've pushed yourself above and beyond and you got through it on your own. Don't care what it is you've been through. If you're going to make a comment that people who commit suicide are weak, cowards, and selfish, you have zero understanding of how the mind works in that particular area. Okay? A lot of people make the mistake in thinking that suicide is actually a choice. Suicide is not a choice that people make. Okay? And I'm going to explain to you exactly what I'm talking about, because to people who don't understand, initially that might actually sound like a bunch of crap. A while back I had done a video where I talked about when I was seeing my therapist had me do a very simple exercise. He had me raise his arm up, and he wanted me to push down on his arm. So I did, and I pushed his arm all the way down. Then he said, okay, Robert, do it again, push my arm down again, but this time in your mind, tell yourself I can't. Just say the words I can't, okay? I walked up to him again, and no matter how hard I tried to push his arm down, I couldn't do it. I even actually put a little of my top body weight on top of his arm, still couldn't do it. And the point of the exercise was to show me how powerful the brain is when you tell yourself something negative or something positive, to a point where your brain, with negativity, your brain will physically take strength away from your body. Even though I just witnessed myself do something as simple as moving this guy's arm down 5 seconds before, because I told myself the words I can't, my body, I lost all the strength I had to do something so simple. So imagine now, this is just an experiment, okay? It's not that I actually believed I couldn't push his arm down. I didn't actually believe that. It was just that saying that triggered something in my brain that broke me. Now you take that concept and now imagine that someone is waking up every day and they actually believe that there's really not much of a point to their life. That they feel empty, that they have no idea why they're doing what they're doing or why they're continuing on. If you're not getting help and you're not taking medication, you have absolutely no idea how much strength it takes to fight something like that off for years. And it doesn't happen overnight. Depression is not something you just wake up and all of a sudden you're afflicted with depression. These are illnesses that people struggle with for years and years and years. And when you don't get help, it builds up and it gets worse and worse. And going back to what I said about it not being a choice, when your mind is controlling your body, it's sort of like the equivalent of you standing on the ledge of a mountain and there is a tremendously strong wind blowing against you and it's pushing you toward the ledge of the mountain. If you don't ask for help, if someone throws you a rope, which is like them saying, hey, do you need help? You want to talk about it? Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. If you don't take that help, It doesn't matter how much you try to push yourself against that strong wind that's blowing. It doesn't matter how much you fight it, because it's going to keep blowing you until you get to the edge of the cliff, fall off, and die. So although the person might be fighting it, did they really have a choice? The force is too powerful. The only choice that people like that have, that they need to make, is getting help. And you've got to look, like if you are on the outside watching somebody that you love, or that's close to you, or whatever it is, and you see somebody, or if you yourself notice that maybe one moment you're feeling like $1,000,000, or maybe you're feeling great for a few weeks, right? And then all of a sudden that whole feeling of feeling amazing goes away and you feel lost. You're not sleeping at night. You can't turn your mind off, okay? You have abnormal sleeping patterns. You lash out in anger to people who are closest to you. Does that sound familiar? You know, you've got a brother, sister, father, mother, whatever, relative that you're close and you do love them, but when there's a disagreement, you tend to kind of like freaking explode. Okay? How about, does it stress you out when you have to do even the simplest of tasks, like answer a phone, greet a customer? Maybe all you have to do is pay your phone bill online. You just go to the page, you have to type in your username and password and click pay because your credit card is already saved, but it's stressing you out. You could be done with it in less than 30 seconds, but something in your brain is telling you, I could do it tomorrow, I could do it later. You feel uncomfortable. You feel uncomfortable to leave your house. Your friends are inviting you to go hang out with them. They'll even drive and pick you up, take you to an awesome place they're offering to pay for your meal, pay for your drinks. But for some reason it's stressing you out. And you're coming up with 1,000,000 reasons why you should stay home. And when you do decide to stay home, or not go to work, or leave work early, you feel relaxed, you start feeling better because you're remaining in that comfort zone, right? Any of these things, if they sound like it's something that you're dealing with, or you see a person who exhibits these types of behaviors, it means something is going on. They don't call you, they don't return your texts all that often, they don't answer the phone. You know, I've got someone in my family who, like, 80% of the time I call them to check on them, they don't answer the phone, they only text me back because they don't want to talk. Okay? So when you see stuff like this going on, or if this sounds like you, there is definitely something that you need to, something is going on. Okay? And in terms of getting the help that you need, first of all, a lot of people who are suffering from these types of things don't even realize that what they're doing is wrong. And you try to confront them on it, and then you get these excuses like, well, that's just how I am, that's just my personality, you got your way of life, I got my way, you like going out, I don't like going out, right? You start, they're argumentative, they try to defend themselves, they don't want to admit that something is going on, and that is very, very, very difficult when someone doesn't even see that what they're doing is not normal or wrong, but if you are able to recognize that something is going on in yourself, and you have all these negative emotions, and you're tired of it, you're tired of feeling angry, you're tired of breaking down crying for hours at a time, you want to sleep 8 hours uninterrupted. These are things that nobody wants to have to deal with. Nobody. So if this sounds like you, then you really should try to take the steps needed to figure out how to get better. And it's not that there's something wrong with you as a person. It's not like you're stupid or you're weak or anything like that. The way you have to look at it is, it's like the same thing as if we make a mistake. Like, let's say you get a job, you're a new employee, and you have no understanding of this job, just like some of us have zero understanding of what's happening to us. Why am I crying? Why do I feel pissed off? Why do I hate the world, right? So you get a new job, you're given a task, but you make a mistake, right? It's no big deal. You're new, you're learning. So you learn and you keep doing it until you've mastered that particular process at your job, all right? That same analogy is what we do when we realize that something in us doesn't feel right. We have to say, listen, this doesn't, I don't want to keep living like this and waking up like this every single day. There's got to be something going on and something that I can do to fix this obstacle, to fix this issue, okay? And it is fixable, it is manageable, but you have to actually, in most cases, you really should go to a doctor. Make sure you've got, you have your health insurance. If you don't have health insurance and you're not really making a lot of money at the time, get your Medicare or whatever, and go see a doctor, and get on the medication, and you will be amazed. I'm telling you, you take medication, and when you get the right medication, you get a good doctor who really sits down and takes their time to understand you and listen to you, and you get put on the right medication, you become a completely different person. That person that you've always wanted to be. And you've got talent. You could do all these great things. But for some reason, you don't pursue it. You don't push yourself to do these things. You don't have faith in yourself, or you're not feeling it, or you're feeling down and depressed, and you're holding yourself back from doing amazing shit. And when you talk to somebody and you get on the right medication and you start taking the steps to repair these issues and face these obstacles, you will be able to actually do all these things. And you can change your entire life and other people's lives. You could be the father that you need to be. You could be the husband that you need to be. You could be the business owner that you need to be. Like I've said in my other videos, try eliminating the feeling of depression, eliminating the feel. Imagine that no matter how much of an asshole people are in your family, your friends or coworkers or whatever, it doesn't faze you. You don't get angry. You just kind of laugh it off and you continue focusing on yourself, right? Imagine being able to get a good night's sleep every single night, and you wake up feeling like $1,000,000. That's another thing that kills people, is not sleeping. Not being able to sleep can destroy your entire day. It can destroy your life. And people who suffer with these types of illnesses do not ever get a full night's sleep. It is horrible, horrible. You want these things to go away, okay? And if you are witnessing somebody that you know that's exhibiting this type of behavior, I encourage you to talk to them, even if they're giving you a hard time, even if they're getting upset or insulted and yelling at you, I encourage you to try your best to reach out, if you know someone who's going through this, or talk to them about the things that you may have learned from this video. And if you're dealing with this type of stuff, I'm telling you to please take the steps that you need to just talk to a doctor, talk to somebody, start doing research on the internet. What was really a big thing for me was when I recognized, for me it was kind of a sad awakening. When my marriage fell apart and I lost everything I had, that's what forced me to take a step back and say, something is very wrong. Because this is not what God wanted. God did not want my marriage to be destroyed. And I had to take a cold, hard look at myself and look at all the things that I had done and how I had reacted in the past, my actions, my attitude. And I started to realize that I was a fucking mess. A mess. And Sometimes, unfortunately, that's what it takes. But I never wanted to go through that again. And so I had to sit down. I started researching certain behavior patterns that I had. I would look at what would make me angry, what would depress me. And I started, typing in good old Google, I get mad at this, I get super angry for this, or I can't sleep, I can't do this, I can't do that, blah, 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 little by little. And you start reading and educating yourself, and then you realize something is going on, And for a lot of these things, like I was saying, you do need to take medication, but it's no freaking big deal. It's just a pill. You take it once a day, whatever it is you have. It could be different for everybody. You swallow your pill, and all it does is it produces the right chemical for your brain to produce or function the way that it's supposed to, so you don't destroy yourself. Okay? That's all it is. You don't have to tell your friends about it. You don't have to tell your girlfriend or your husband or whoever. You don't have to admit anything to anybody close to you if you're embarrassed. But you absolutely should. At least if you're too embarrassed to talk to people you're close to about it, freaking talk to me, okay? Or find some doctor near you, or watch YouTube videos of doctors talking about depression or anxiety, or other people talk about it and what they had to do, what they went through. Okay? Start taking steps that are needed to help yourself or help somebody that may be dealing with it. But it is never, suicide is never, ever, ever, it is never done with selfish, weak-minded cowardice in the brain. Okay? The type of thought process is, you know what? I'm tired of everybody having to worry about me. I'm tired of hurting my wife. I'm tired of hurting my children. I'm tired of disappointing my family and my friends. I'm tired of being a leech. If I kill myself, they'll be hurt and they'll be angry, but they'll be better off in the long run. I'm doing them a favor. That is the thought process of somebody who commits suicide. I'm doing you a favor. You'll thank me later. That is how horrible it is. That's what's going on. It's not that, screw you, you know what? I'm going to screw you in the worst way possible. I'm going to kill myself. We'll see how you like it then. Yeah? Hey, you know what? I'm tired of paying for my child's college. I'm tired of paying for bills. I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to hang myself. I'm going to jump off a cliff. I'm going to shoot myself. Okay? It is always the person thinking that they are a burden on the world, that the pain, they cannot deal with it anymore. That is what's happening when someone decides that they're going to take their own life. Okay? There are so many things there are so many variables in something like this. People are born with certain type of negative, like mental disorders, and then on top of that, we go through horrible situations in life that make it 1,000,000 times worse. Recently, I found out I was born with something, and it was destroying my life. And then on top of that, my childhood was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I was so fucked up. I had no idea. And for years, I was living thinking that I wasn't doing anything wrong. For years. And people would talk to me and, Rob, are you okay? Is this, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? How come you feel this way? How come you're getting so angry about this? How come you're crying about that? And I'm like, well, that's just how I am. That's just how I am, We're all different. Which is true, right? Everybody's different. But you have to be careful that you're not using that as an excuse to cover up a serious thing that's going on up here. There is nothing wrong with realizing that something is broken and then saying, I got to get this shit fixed. So if you're too embarrassed to tell people that you're close to, go find a doctor. And by the way, I know a lot of people who say therapists and psychiatrists are bullshit because they had bad experiences, okay? And I'm going to warn you now that there are a lot of doctors, there are lots of counselors, marital counselors, therapists, psychiatrists, that they should not be in their profession, okay? I know a ton of people who went to go see a marriage counselors, and the marriage counselor was telling them they shouldn't be together, they should break up. Okay, I have personal experience with that, and if you find a doctor that's telling you what to do, that's never a good sign. Okay, a good doctor will get it out of you. A good doctor will get you to realize what's going on, and they will get you to realize the flaws and the damage on your own. Okay, so sometimes you may have to visit different doctors, do some research online and stuff like that until you find someone that you're comfortable with. All they're doing is they're holding your hand and guiding you to realize things on your own. Okay, so you've got to be very, very careful. If you're having marital trouble or whatever other issue, and you find a doctor and they're telling you what to do and they're giving you instructions, not a good thing. Okay, if you're suffering from depression or you're having trouble in your relationship, whatever, the whole point of talking to a doctor, so the doctor could kind of make you realize that you've made mistakes, and then you have like these revelations, oh shit, you know what, you're right, honey, I'm sorry, or oh my God, I didn't realize that past situation was affecting how I'm reacting to certain things today. That's what a good doctor is supposed to do. Okay, so just make sure you're very, very careful, because that does tend to happen. Because a lot of times people who study the human mind, they decided to take that path because they themselves have gone through some really fucked up shit. And so to try to find answers for their own problems in life, they study the human mind and behavior and all these different things, but they themselves have not been able to kind of fix what happened in their own life. So just something to watch out for. So the point is that it may take some time before you find the right doctor. It may take some time before you find the right medication, because there's a few different medicines out there, and they don't all work for everybody. So you try one for a little bit. If it's not really doing much for you, or it's not really impacting you, they either sometimes increase the dosage, or they'll put you on something else, or maybe they'll decrease the dosage. So this is another thing. Okay, if you start taking medication and you notice some really bad side effects, it may be messed up, but it is kind of normal. It takes time for your body to get used to certain medications, depending on what it is. So don't get scared and then be like that. No, screw that. I'm not messing with medication anymore. Don't lie to yourself and say that you're going to try the natural thing, because let me tell you something right now. The only time the natural approach works is if you have very minimal depression. All right, because there's different levels. There's a lot of mental disorders out there. There's like a low level, and then there's like the high level where your mind you really need to be on medication. And if that's where you're at, yoga isn't going to help you, St. John's wort isn't going to help you, drinking tea isn't going to help you, and all these natural things are not going to help you. I don't care who you talk to, who tells you, oh, I was always going to kill myself, but then I started, drinking some tea and doing yoga and I'm good. No. Okay? If you are if you have clinical depression, a high anxiety, or you've got bipolar or whatever it is, you need to talk to a doctor, and you will need medication. Okay? And all it is just that your brain is missing something, or that part of it was damaged or whatever, and the medication, you want to look at it this way, it just gives you that chemical to help your brain. So whatever's missing, the pill just puts in that missing puzzle piece so you can be whole again. Okay? So, so I know this was a long video, but it really is important that we have a better understanding of these things, because it's horrible. It's horrible. And it happens with people that you least expect it from. When you see people doing great things and you think, wow, they got it all. They're always happy. Oh, they must have a good life. They're always joking and happy and cheerful. You got to be careful, because that's another sign. Not in every case, but a lot of times what people do is they make a joke out of everything because it helps to alleviate the pain. When you see people drinking a lot, or they turn to drugs, unfortunately, these are all things that people do to numb themselves so they don't have to think straight, so they don't have to focus on some of the shit that they're dealing with in the real world. Okay? So when you see people constantly making a joke out of everything, even serious situations, it's not because they're an asshole necessarily. It could be because actually on the inside something is really going on. Something really fucked up is happening. So just keep that in mind, and please, if you want to talk, if you need to talk, please reach out, or just find a doctor. Do your research, look at reviews, look at what people are saying, and just get yourself out of that hole. This way you can go, like I said before, that you can push yourself to be that person that you can be. All right? Be safe. God bless. Good night.